Hi Year 3, this is your Thursday comprehension session. It is Thursday the 1st of July. I have already recorded this video, but unfortunately my sound didn't work like last week, so we're going to try again. So we are looking today at reading some of the text, and we're going to understand some new vocabulary. I'm going to show you the text first of all. This is what it looks like. I'm just going to zoom in so you can see it a little bit better. And just looking at this text already, we can tell it's a story, so it's fiction text today. We can tell that because it's got things like inverted commas with the speech marks. It's also got a picture here rather than a photo, so we can tell that this is a fiction text. Okay, now I'm just going to double check that this is all still working fine. So the fiction text today is called The Scroll. It's from the Scroll of Alexandria, a Lottie Lipton adventure by Dan Metcalf. So because we know it's an adventure, that also shows it's going to be a fiction text as well, rather than an information/non-fiction text. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to read it. I'm going to ask you to read it, then I'm going to read it with you. I'm going to go through some tricky words, and then I'm going to give you the next task. So I'd like you, please, make sure you can all see on the screen. If you pause the video now, I'd like you to read through the text yourself. And any words that you think are a bit tricky or you don't know what they mean, I'd like you to write them down on your piece of paper. So pause the video now and have a read through this first of all. Okay, hopefully you've read the text. So I'm now going to read it with you, and I will go through some meanings of some words a bit later on. So I'm going to go through it, review it a bit at a time. So The Scroll of Alexandria, a Lottie Lipton adventure by Dan Metcalf. London, 1928. Lottie! The cry echoed around the great halls of the British Museum. Lottie turned to look for the source and gulped. She darted into the next hall, past a group of tourists and into the library, where she bumped into her great Uncle Bert. Whoa there! Slow down, he said. Sir Trevelyan may have found our science experiment, she blurted out quickly. Oh dear, said Uncle Bert, his moustache drooping in worry. Quick, hide in here. I'll see if I can calm him down. Lottie quickly hid herself in a nook between some nearby bookcases. The Great Library was one of her favourite places in the British Museum. She had lived in the museum ever since her parents had died in an accident during an archaeological dig in Egypt. Her great uncle, Professor Bertram West, had sworn to take care of her and had returned from Egypt to take a job at the British Museum. They lived in a small, untidy flat on the grounds of the museum, and Lottie loved it. She didn't go to school. Instead, she was taught by her Uncle Bert and could look at any of the books in the library. I don't understand what all these books are doing in a museum, laughed a loud American man to his wife. Surely they should be in a big library. Lottie poked her head up from the nook and smiled. Ahem, she coughed politely. I can help there. Lottie hopped out of her hiding space. These books are here by royal appointment, she said. They were left in the museum by King George III after he died. They've been here since 1828. Exactly 100 years. The couple looked impressed. Other tourists began to gather round. Why aren't you a little bookworm, said the man. What else can you tell us? So hopefully you read through that text yourself, and then you just heard me go through it. I'm going to go through it one more time. I'm just going to point out a few extra details for you. So I'm going to zoom in again. So start off with Lottie. Lottie is in capital letters and exclamation marks, so it's showing that they are shouting it. So we know that's going to be said with expression. So you could say, Lottie! The cry echoed around the great halls of the British Museum. Lottie turned to look for the source and gulped. She darted into the next hall, past a group of tourists and into the library, where she bumped into her great Uncle Bert. Whoa there! Slow down, he said. Sir Trevelyan may have found our science experiment. And you'll notice that may is written on a funny angle, like a sideways angle, and that's called italics. And it's written like that to put emphasis on the word. So it's not Sir Trevelyan may have found our science experiment, it's Sir Trevelyan may have found our science experiment, she blurted out quickly. Oh dear, said Uncle Bert, his moustache drooping in worry. Hopefully you know what moustache is. It's a tricky word, that one. But moustache, you know, when people have it on top of their top lip, but that's how you spell it. It's a funny spelling. Quick, hide in here. I'll see if I can calm him down. Lottie quickly hid herself in a nook between some nearby bookcases. The Great Library was one of her favourite places in the British Museum. She had lived in the museum ever since her parents had died. in an accident during an archaeological dig in Egypt. Now, archaeological is also a tricky word. but hopefully most of you will know that because we did an archaeological dig when we did archaeology day, so hopefully you know that one. Her great uncle, Professor Bertram West, had sworn to take care of her and had returned from Egypt to take a job at the British Museum. They lived in a small, untidy flat on the grounds of the museum, and Lottie loved it. She didn't go to school. Instead, she was taught by her Uncle Bert and could look at any of the books in the library. I don't understand what all these books are doing in the museum, laughed a loud American man to his wife. Surely they should be in a big library. Lottie poked her head out from her nook and smiled. Ahem, she coughed politely. I can help there. Lottie hopped out of her hiding place. These books are here by royal appointment, she said. They were left to the museum by King George III after he died. They've been here since 1828, exactly 100 years. The couple looked impressed. Other tourists began to gather around. Why aren't you, little bookworm, said the man. What else can you tell us? So, if there's any words there that you weren't sure what they mean, write them down. And if I don't go over the meaning of them in a moment, or if I haven't already, make sure you put it onto Tapestry or Teams, and an LSA or a teacher will get back to you as soon as we can to let you know what it means. Now, what I'd like you to do now is the word they've, which is down here. Draw a line underneath it. They've has got an apostrophe up there. I'd like you to write down on your piece of paper, why does they've have an apostrophe there? Why does it have an apostrophe? Can you write that down for me? Okay, once you've done that, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to have a look at some other words. So some of the words in our text, we had the word echoed. Look in the text here. It said, the cry echoed around the great halls of the British Museum. So echoed is a bit like if you were in a cave and the walls were quite close. If I went, hello, it might go, hello, hello, hello. And the thing that I've said repeats again and again because of how close all the walls are. So in the library, the cry of Lottie echoed around the halls of the museum. Then we had sauce. Now this type of sauce is very different to this type of sauce. So this type I've just written is like tomato ketchup, is a type of sauce. Okay, this type of sauce that I've written has got lots of different meanings, but the one we're going to focus on is in the sentence here. Lottie turned to look for the sauce and gulped. Have a think what you think it could be. She's looking for the sauce, not tomato ketchup, that's spelled differently. The source of the cry. Have a think what you think that could mean. Darted. She darted into the next hall past a group of tourists and into the library. Darted. I'm going to show you some definitions in a moment. Nook. Have a look where it was. Lottie quickly hid herself in a nook between some nearby bookcases. They mention nook again later on, I think, when she comes out of the nook. So we've got nook there. And the last word I want you to focus on is impressed, which is right near the bottom. The couple looked impressed. Impressed. Other tourists began to gather around. So what does the word impressed mean? Now I'm going to show you some definitions behind this little screen here. So this one says to move quickly, a sound repeating after the original sound has stopped, feeling or showing admiration or respect for someone or something, the place the sound originally came from, a little corner or space that could offer a hiding place. Now, echo does not mean to move quickly. They're all mixed up. So you need to write down on your piece of paper the word, for example, echoed, make sure it's spelled correctly, and the definition that you think it means. I'd like to do that with all 5 of these words. You're going to write the definitions down for me. You pause the video now and write down your definitions next to those words and check your spelling carefully, please. Okay, so hopefully you've matched up your words and your definitions. So I'm going to show you the answers now. You can give it a little tick if you got it right, and if you got it wrong, you can write the correct definition next to it. So echoed is a sound repeating after the original sound has stopped. Source. Source is the place the sound originally came from. So here, the cry echoed around the great halls of the British Museum. Lottie turned to look for the source. So she's looking for where that sound has come from. That's what it means. It's also different meanings. You can have a source of a river, so you can have a look and see what that means, but it's similar where it originally came from. Darted. Darted is a verb, and it means to move quickly. If you dart somewhere, you move quick. So in the text, it said, She darted into the next hall, past a group of tourists as she moved really quickly there. Nook. Nook is a little corner or space that could offer a hiding place. If you look at the picture, she's gone between those two bookcases. That's the nook that she's chosen to hide in. And the last one, impressed, is feeling or showing admiration or respect for someone or something. So they were impressed with her knowledge, weren't they, the tourists, at the end of that passage of writing. Now, hopefully you've matched them up. If you've got them wrong, don't worry, just write down your correct definition next to them for me. Okay. Now, your last task for today is you've got the five words we've just looked at: echoed, source, darted, nook, and impressed. And you're going to write them into sentences. So your first sentence is going to have the word echoed, your second, source, third, darted, fourth, nook, fifth, impressed. And can you then put your sentences onto Tapestry? Now, hopefully I'll be able to see some of you tomorrow, but what there'll be is the questions have been emailed out with this piece of text. So if you're able to answer the questions at home as well, that'd be brilliant. I look forward to seeing your sentences on Tapestry. Have a good rest of your day, and I'll see some of you tomorrow. Bye, Year 3.